I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co, and today I'm reviewing Pergola from Rebel Studio. Pergola is a 1 to 4 player point scoring game in which players are going to be working to go ahead and gather a variety of flowers and insects into their garden and trying to optimize the scoring of each individual type better than the other players. That's a lot, but the basic idea is grab something, put it into your garden, and try to get better scoring than other players. Same thing, just said faster. That said, the basic idea is you're going to have 15 turns. A turn consists of taking one of these tools. They start off as shovels, but then they're going to go to pitchforks and spades and all those things. But you basically take one of these tools, which is also going to show you various elements on it. You'll take those elements, and then you'll take the action of the spot. So for example, I could take this tool, these two elements, and then that action. That's my turn. I put it into my personal display. Next player takes their turn. We slide this down, take a new tool out, rinse and repeat until eventually all players have taken 15 turns, which you'll notice because your display will be filled. That's what you're doing. So again, take a tool, take the elements, take the action, rinse and repeat until you get to the end of the game. But what is it you're doing and why? Well, you're trying to gather a whole lot of various flowers and other flower adjacent things, and then also trying to gather a bunch of insects or butterflies or bees or all those things and placing them into your garden. Because each of those things is going to have a different way that you score, and you're going to be trying to balance the scoring of those things. That's the kind of general idea of what you're doing. There's a few other things to get to, but the general idea is take stuff and try to focus on how you're scoring for those things. To that end, let's talk about the various elements you can take, and then we'll tell you what the actions you can take are. So elements, then actions, and then all the other peripheral stuff. The elements you can take, we're going to start off with these over here. And I apologize, I don't remember the name of all the various elements, but you can start off with this one over here, where if you take these, you're going to be scoring for sets of different kinds. So as you add these to your garden, you get 1 point if you have one kind, you get 3 points if you have 2 of them, and then you get 6 points if you have all 3 kinds. And that's going to repeat for each set you have, because as you get more, you're going to be building up your sets as well. So for example, in this hypothetical, you'd be getting 6 points for the full set, then 1 point and 1 point for those two, because those aren't a full set. That's how those are going to score. But then you're placing butterflies onto them. This pattern of having a plant and then some sort of creature on it, that's going to be true for all of these. Butterflies, when you gather them, are going to be placed onto these, and those are going to score based on the height of where they're at. So for example, a butterfly on the 3rd level is worth 2 points, a butterfly on the 1st level is worth 1 point, and a butterfly on the 4th level or higher is worth 3 points. So you can see you're trying to juggle having an evenly dispersed amount of these in order to maximize your scoring here, but you also want to go as high as you can in order to maximize your butterfly scoring on them. So that's going to be one of the little challenges you face. Generally, you're trying to choose between 2 different ways of juggling different things. From there, we'll have these. These are going to be growing out in a taller and taller structure as you place them onto your garden. So as you place them, you can place the next one going off from there, and then you can continue to create these chaining patterns of placing them at different levels. Each one is going to both score on its own, but also provide a little space for a ladybug. The way those work is these are going to score based on the height, 1 for level 1, 1 for level 2, 1 for level 3, then 2, and then 3 onwards. So if you can get them really high, you'll be scoring 3 points for each of these that you place higher up in your garden. And as far as the ladybugs go, ladybugs score based on the quantity at any individual level. The tricky part is you can only have one of these structures, which means you need to branch out in order to be able to actually build 2 higher levels. You can't actually go high right away. But if you can get high enough, you're going to score points for each of your ladybugs equal to the square of the ladybugs at that level. For example, if you have 2 ladybugs on the same level, that's 4 points, 2 for each one. 1 ladybug at one level would be 1 point. If you had 5 ladybugs on the same level, that would be 25 points. From there, you have these over here. These are going to score for a pairing of pink and blue. They give you a spot to place your bees, but you're going to score 3 points for every pairing of pink and blue that you have, and then you'll also get bee scoring out of it. To that end, the bees are going to be worth 2 points on this one, 4 points for the 2 bees you have over here, and then 8 points for the purple one, but you have to get that purple a different way. Over here, as you gather 2 of these, you have a choice. You can either go ahead and populate a very small dragonfly into that spot and get 1 point point for the associated dragonfly. That's option 1. Just place that. You get 2 points for each of these, so 4 points plus 1 point for the dragonfly. Or instead of the dragonfly, you can take one of these, which is another place you can place bees. If you fill that up completely, that's going to be worth a nice 8 points for the 3 bees on there. A little bit of work to get there, but well worth that point boost at the end of it. Then you have dragonflies. We already talked about the basic 1-point dragonflies, but you also have dragonflies on these pawns over here that you can earn for having achieved 4 of any particular plant type. If you have 4 of these, like I have right now, I'll be able to take one of these. There's a way to get it. It's going to be coming down to the actions, but you can take a dragonfly that you have 4 of any single type and place it into your garden, getting 5 points for the large ones, 3 points for the medium ones, and then those 1-point dragonflies are irrelated to the actual goals. You get those the other way. That's going to be the various things you're scoring for on this board. There's a few more things here, but we have to explain a few more concepts. So that's the basic idea. You're trying to gather all these things and trying to juggle how you're going to optimize your garden as you build it out. And once again, the way you get these things is you take one of these tools over here and take the things on that tool. Then you also take the action. Now, 3 of the actions are usually just going to get you an insect in different ways. We have the bird action, which allows you to take any one of these leaves. For example, maybe I take this leaf over here, I place it into my garden, and I take the matching butterfly. That's this action. Get an insect, and you place it wherever you want, and score the points for that. You'll also get 1 point for every unique colored leaf at the end of the game, which represents an additional possible 5 points you can get if you balance those appropriately. This action is going to have you move a water droplet down from the top of your mountain to the next stopping point and taking the associated insect. As you go lower and lower, you'll get different insects. As you get to the bottom, you can choose any insect you want, but you also unlock additional scoring. We'll come back to that additional scoring soon, but basically if you get both of your water droplets to the bottom, not only will you have gotten a lot of insects along the way, you'll have unlocked 2 of the different scoring conditions. And then you have the frog. When you take the frog, you take your frog. Your first time you put this frog out, it goes anywhere you want, and you take an insect. There you go. Plain and simple, take an insect. After that, you have to move to adjacent spots, and usually it's going to be taking various insects, but alternatively, if you fulfilled any of the scoring conditions for these dragonflies, you can go ahead and take that, and that's how you get those dragonflies and earn the points from there. The last action is going to be rearranging your insects. In general in the game, you can take 2 rearranging actions when you go here, and that lets you move insects around to wherever it's more optimal for scoring. Often that's moving ladybugs to higher tiers, moving butterflies to higher tiers, or sometimes you'll be getting insects before you have a place for them, at which point you can place them after. You don't lose the insect. If you can't place an insect, it just goes buzzing around your garden somewhere, and then later you can take a rearranging action to place it where you need to go. Speaking of placing bees over here, when you place your 4th, 7th, and 9th bee in this area, you'll unlock your 1st, 2nd, and 3rd honeypot. These are additional ways of scoring points. For example, if I unlock that, I'll get an additional 1 point for every ladybug. This one will give me an additional 1 point for every butterfly. This will give me an additional point for every 2 leaves, even if I double up on colors. And this one will give me a point for every lantern. Lanterns are these 4 tiles over here. You can earn them from the tools you're taking, and they give you small extra bonus actions. Whether you use them or not, they are worth that 1 point if you unlock that lantern bonus. Which brings us finally to over here. These water droplet bonuses, again, you can only earn a maximum of 2 of them, and you do have to work to get your water droplets down. But those will give you 1 point for every dragonfly you have, regardless of the size. This one is 1 point for every set of a butterfly, ladybug, and bee. And then this one is 2 points for every honeypot you've unlocked. That is basically the game. You take 15 actions. Those actions consist of taking a tool, taking the things on that tool, putting it into your spot to mark you've taken an action, and then taking the associated action as well. You are trying to juggle the building out of your garden, trying to maximize whichever particular scoring thing you're working towards, and trying to generally well balance all the stuff you're doing to earn as many points as possible in Pergola. Which brings me to my review of what I like, don't like, and can see others not liking, starting off with what I like, which is the game in general is very simple and straightforward as far as what it's trying to do. It's very accessible, very charming, the whole idea of building out your own board in a way that's loosely confined, like there's some rules as far as how you build, but the rest of it's kind of up to you. You end up with your own little sense of building out a panorama. You have a sense of a growing garden, which is very charming, especially if you're in it for the theme of the game and not just the mechanics. Past that, it just comes down to point optimization. You'll have fun building into one or two things that really kind of grow and develop as you go, whether it's building a ton of bees in order to unlock your honeypots, whether it's getting particularly high over here and scoring tons of points for your butterflies, or maybe getting multiple sets and scoring chunks of 6 points apiece, or alternatively filling out these with bees, or filling out your ladybugs, or moving your water water droplets down. There's many things you can focus on in the game, and it all gives you that sense of accomplishment as you work on that one thing you really want to be good at, but also the game leaves you wanting just a little bit more. As you get towards those last 5 turns, you're going to start counting them down. You're going to I have 15 turns. The first 5 go by in a second. The next 10 go by pretty quickly, and then you're down to 5 turns left, and you're like, I'm not going to get enough things happening. I want to do more. I want to build more. I want to get just a few more ladybugs so I can get 5 ladybugs. That's 25 points. That's in a game that generally has a point scoring rate around 100 points. Getting 25 points for ladybugs is huge if you can do it. The most I've gotten is 16 points for ladybugs, and honestly, I felt pretty proud of that as it was. Then again, I think if I would have given up other things, I could have probably gotten 25, but sacrifices. Everything in this game is a sacrifice. Even those ladybugs, you want to build high to be able to get 3 points for each one of these, which can be very, very strong. But if you start building too high and you don't spread out fast enough, you won't be able to get those ladybugs. Everything is a trade-off, so there are decisions you have to be mindful of as you try to think through what it is you're working towards. As far as things I don't like in the game, it definitely is on the lighter side. It's very charming, it's very easy to get into, you're taking things that give you points, but it's definitely a game that is on the lighter side as far as the overall arc of it, and it does come down to optimizing a point here or there. Everything in the game is giving you points, so you're like, oh, do I take 2 points for this or 1 point for that? Do I go ahead and spread this out where I can get 6 points, or do I build upwards where I can get 5 points? It mostly comes down to trying to find those small optimizations of where you can squeak out an extra point here or there. It's not a game where you're going to feel incredibly powerful for the things you did, because everything you do is giving you points. It's just about eking out an extra point because you are a little bit smarter about how you place things. I'll say the action system kind of feels a little bit not interesting enough. You kind of have 1 action that's move insects, and then 3 actions that give you insects, plus some variety to it. This one gives you dragonflies, this one gives you the leaves over here, and this one gives you the water droplets, but they're just 3 variations of get more insects, or animals, I shouldn't say insects, animals. Bees, butterflies, and ladybugs. You're just trying to get those 3 animals, but all 3 of the actions give you those, they just give you other small differences. So I think that the overall action system felt like it could have been more interesting as far as giving you different pathways of things to focus on, as opposed to just giving you insects and then a small variation on scoring. I'll say that in general, as far as the solo goes, solo is going to have you kind of playing with a 2-player board. You're basically setting up for 2 players and then removing one tool at a time as you build out your own personal board. No major differences, but they do have challenges where you're trying to do a specific thing. So I think that one of the games is like a free game where you can do whatever you want, but then one of the other games is going to be every time you score a honey pot, you have to get at least 5 points from it if you're going to do that. Another point might have you trying to get at least 9 bees, or different kinds of challenges where you have to see how high of a score you can get while achieving a specific limited challenge of something you're trying to do. Get at least 4 dragonflies while also seeing how high you can get. So it's kind of beat your own score, but with a specific subsect of what you're trying to do. And I think for me, the solo mode didn't feel necessarily challenging enough. They kind of had this cute whimsical aspect where they have the designers posting like, oh, the designer got 102 and 107. But I don't imagine that was their best score, because I found that, which is a good thing to be fair, but I found the solo not super difficult to be able to get in the scoring range and to accomplish the goal you need. I didn't do all 10 of them, but the ones I did do didn't feel super challenging as far as trying to achieve it. I wish there was a bit more bite to the solo mode. I love challenges. I love the idea of trying to get 102 points while doing something, but I kind of wish it had been trying to get 102 points while doing these 3 things. As it was, it didn't feel super challenging. I guess I could probably house rule that myself, but from playing the basic, it didn't feel challenging enough, but a good starting concept. But again, this kind of feeds into the being slightly on the lighter side. As far as I can see others not liking, you really need to focus on 1 or 2 things in the game. This is one of those things where if you want to optimize, you can't just take stuff and hope to score. You have to find the areas that you're going to be focusing on. I keep mentioning ladybugs because that's a fun one, but any one thing you're doing, you want to go really high on these and get a whole bunch of butterflies? Great, do that. You want to get all 9 bees to get your honey pots? Do that. And if you want to be even more special, get your 9 bees, then move them over to here, because you can leave and still keep your honey pots. But you really want to find 1 or 2 things that you're really focusing on, and then everything else is peripheral points, which you might not like. You might just want to take stuff, and you do kind of have to focus. I'll also say that particularly in a 3-player game, but honestly any player count other than 2, if you and 1 other player are really going for that one thing, again I'll say ladybugs, if you and 1 other player are really going for that one thing, the other players will just get whatever they want, while the 2 of you fight over every single tool that gives you that particular flower, which can be a little frustrating. Usually it's not that much of an issue, but it certainly can come up if you feel yourself fighting over a limited resource while somebody else is building something that nobody else is fighting over. As far as final thoughts on Pergola, Pergola, this is a very charming game. It's very, very charming. I really like the overall building things out. It's very simple and easy to teach, to play. Yes, there's a lot of scoring to remember, but they do have, every player has one of these boards, which makes it fairly easy to actually remember what you're doing. So overall, it's a lot of initial information, but pretty simple to actually pick up and learn, and very charming as you do so. It is also on the lighter side, which does detract a little bit from the level of I guess, satisfaction I get out of any particular play. To me, the best moments are trying to really lean into one thing, getting as many points as possible from that one thing, and then just dabbling peripherally in everything else. Overall, to me, this is coming in at a 3.5 out of 5. Very charming, solid fun, but definitely on the lighter side. As far as other game recommendations, definitely check out Meadow. This gave me a lot of vibes of Meadow from, like, I played Meadow a long time ago, but kind of had that simple, accessible charm, that sense of building, and of course the beautiful artwork and nature theme. And speaking of nature themes, of course, Earth. Earth has a similar kind of vibe, where I think I had a similar issue with Earth, where in both this game and in Earth, everything you do is going to give you a point. It's up to you to find that small, special way to eke out that extra point, but both games are very charming, very easy to play, and have you scoring a whole lot of points while feeling good doing so. In any case, and until next time, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. I hope you found this review helpful, and as always, I hope you have a good one.